Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 3 of LGD China versus Team DK. You're watching Beyond the Summit's coverage of the Dota 2 Super League. It's a $165,000 coming out party for the perfect world. I know you hate that intro.
Coming out party again?
Yes, I like it. It's smooth. It's polished.
You would like it.
It's suave. It's swaggin', like the Merleezy LDC JPEG that we had earlier.
Oh boy.
It's neither here nor there, Merlini.
What have you started?
Actually,
I started the LDZ.
Yeah, the chat. You started it. The chat finished it. So shout out to whoever made that. You're awesome. But with that out of the way, LGD China versus Team DK. On a serious note, this series could go the distance. It's 1-1, and it's a best of 5, and I feel like both teams are looking equally matched.
I mean, LGD, I think. So second game, they pretty much asked DK to bring it on. They put a pressure on them, and DK Super especially they just crushed them. And I think that DK's success story really relies on them being aggressive and taking control of that early game. We saw LGD get off to a decent start in the first like 5 or 6 minutes, but after that they just completely fell apart. And the Batrider dying to the neutrals, that was just ridiculous.
I mean, at the same time though, DK do have burning. I think most people would agree he's the strongest carry player in China. He's been it for a while. His team has been up and down. They have not really delivered every game, but you still have burning. If you want to go back to a different style, if you want to pick the hard carry for him,
they banned
I feel
AM
like they
out,
could
though.
take it late. With that being said, the draft's underway. We should probably hop into it. We have 3 picks on the board. LGD China.
Speaking of anti-mage and burning.
Yeah, you mentioned they banned out AM, but not this game. And DK.
Well, they banned it in the second phase last game.
Yeah.
So
and DK, they saw that and they said, we weren't really comfortable with how hard it was to break the base. Let's get a hero that can siege well. Let's get a carry that can scale better with items for burning.
So we saw Visage used pretty well by DK last game, and although they had I think they had first pick, regardless, we see a lot of the same bans. Batrider, I feel like he wasn't as potent as he was usually last game. And whether that has to do with the early death or whether it just has to do with them not really making too much use of the Puck and the Nyx Assassin hitting early level 6, it just felt a little bit weak, even though it did prolong the game due to his excellent turtling potential.
It was a hard game. I mean, Weaver's a hard hero to jump on because you blink and you have to be very close to lasso. And
especially when he gets his Lincolns.
Yeah, then you can't blink lasso him. You need someone else to initiate. Obviously, Slark, if he gets off Dark Pack, can simply debuff the lasso almost instantly and run away. And Visage is tanky. Their lineup in general is just hard to go on, I feel, which was the big strength of DK the early to mid-game. We mentioned how survivable they are. Well, we'll see a similarly survivable lineup, albeit a different kind of style. Clockwork Anti-Mage, the choices. I'm having flashbacks, and they're traumatic ones, Merlini. They're not the good kind, to Game 1 where RTK fed the courier away, pretty much cost his team the game right there. He was winning his lane, and it all fell apart for DK. I imagine we won't see that courier death, at least not that way, but, well, what can he make happen with the Clockwork? I think the other issue was he missed a lot of hooks in that game.
Right.
And part of it, maybe he was on tilt after that, but just
also
wasn't quite on his A game.
It has to deal with their lineup, too, because with AM, they're actually they're more in a defensive position. They can wait for initiate, and Clockworks, I think, is a better counter initiator than initiator. Although he is great as an initiator, it's much easier to hit hooks when a mag blinks and RPs into you and you're trying to catch all those supports running in afterwards. So I feel like with this sort of lineup, again, the pressure is switched this time. So instead of LGD having the amazing late game with Spectre or Alchemist the first game, they bring the tides have turned.
Yeah.
But I mean, DK Burning's anti-mage is legendary.
It is. And he usually delivers. And they also picked it after a Darkseer from LGD China. And it looks like DK wants that 1v1 matchup for Burning. Yeah, at least that's how it would seem. It could even be a solo mid Clockwork for Super. I'm talking about RTK taking the clock mid, but it's not out of the question. It could be a solo mid Clock for Super. And actually, I would say Clock does pretty well against Dragon Knight. It's a melee hero, easy to hit him with the cogs, burn his mana, harass him out of lane. Bottle Crow being nerfed favors a hero like Clockwork who has very mana-efficient spells, so could be a solo mid-Clock.
So they will ban out the Magnus. Magnus we've seen just like amazing turtling potential with just Shockwave spam and then always the constant threat of RP. So that will play well into DK's hands if they manage to grab it, and Empower Anti-Mage just does insane amounts of damage. So it looks like we may not have another Turtle Fest last game, but don't want to speak too soon about that. I'm glad that LGD already has Dragon Knight, though. Dragon Knight, his Dragon Tail is very good lockdown versus Anti-Mage. We almost never see Anti-Mage go Lincolns, and in some cases they get BKB, but regardless, you need a lot of lockdown or a very strong, aggressive triple lane in order to shut down an Anti-Mage.
I was about to say, I'm actually very surprised that DK left Shadow Demon.
Why didn't they ban him out?
But they pick him here, so they get the Shadow Demon. Well, you were saying you were surprised LGD China left
why did
him in the
LGD?
pool. I was surprised DK, but I wasn't thinking because they have the first pick coming out of this stage, so it makes sense that DK left it in, but for LGD...
Well, I'm actually surprised they didn't take like a SD Anti-Mage first 2 picks. Clockwork's like decent, but I haven't seen him dominate in 6.78 like we did in 6.77B.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they just felt like with the Darkseer pick, it's a hero that can isolate Darkseer in fights, prevent him from getting off a good vacuum wall, maybe punish the DK. Hard to say, but hey, they did go Clock. LGD respond with the Rubik, and I was actually going to say this was the first one that came to mind. Was you mentioned Dragon Tail as a great initiating stun versus Anti-Mage. Rubik's a great hero to punish him if he's split pushing, steal Blink. You can chase him and lift him. Shadow Demon's a bit better in terms of actually hurting him because you get the disruption illusions, but they now have a lot of reliable instant lockdown versus the Anti-Mage. The big question is going to be, can they actually burst them down? Because they are very lacking on damage right now.
I love seeing Kunkka games. Kunkka, I mean, Torrent Boat is ridiculous amounts of damage, and Tidebringer, he just is a good hero most of the game, especially with a Shadow Demon and or Cog to help him set up with that difficult to land Torrent.
Yeah, I like this
pretty
pick.
Powerful.
I mean, Shadow Demon Kunkka, you have a very aggressive tri-lane right there. Whatever the third hero is, be it Clockwork, be it another hero. LGD do not have any blinkers or easy escape heroes like a Morphling who can waveform out of the Cog. So whoever gets caught there could be in a whole world of trouble. And it frees them up to get the Anti-Mage 1v1 against Darkseer and also run an aggressive tri-lane, try and shut down LGD. You can put Clock mid. Again, I think he does really well against Dragon Knight. So this draft is shaping up very nicely. And it fits them, too. Again, burning Anti-Mage, it's what you want.
Right, and they may be able to do an aggressive triple lane here. They banned out Visage, they banned out Weaver. Those two are pretty problematic. Weaver being able to sometimes escape the Shadow Demon disrupt combo, and Visage just dominating due to the massive damage that Soul Assumption does. I think that DK may be in a very good situation to win all 3 of their lanes.
Yeah, Visage is actually banned out, though. He was the second ban by DK.
Yeah, I mean, he was banned out, so...
Right, so they can be more aggressive.
Right, so they can be more aggressive.
Okay.
There's still a Nyx Assassin left in the pool, surprisingly.
Really?
Wow,
LGD
Spectre
goes
again.
Spectre again.
That's...
I think the X factor could be that they have Darkseer, which really makes the Spectre a whole lot stronger. Because here's 2 reasons. One, you get Ion on Spectre. He hits really hard because of that. Number 2, and you can surge him, so he can chase a little bit better. The other reason is Darkseer punishes the enemy team for clumping, and Spectre punishes the enemy team for spreading out. So it's like no matter which way you go...
That's synergy.
Yeah, that's some good synergy right there. That's teamwork. But still, they've picked a Spectre against a very strong offensive tri-lane from DK. This laning stage for LGD could be very tough in that tri-lane.
Are they going to offensive tri-lane, though?
I feel like they are.
I think they should, but a lot of the Eastern teams don't aggressive try that. We saw them aggressive... We saw him do it the first game, but it wasn't really an aggressive triple lane.
DK will definitely do it in certain situations, and I think this is one of them. Burning Anti-Mage safe lane against off-lane Darkseer, or even jungle Darkseer. We'll see where he goes. And I guess the only question is, do LGD try to do it what they did in Game 1, which is dodge the tri-lane, or I think it was Game 2 actually. Dodge the tri-lane, send the Spectre, Rubik +1 bottom. Maybe that's what they'll try and do, but if they do that, DK is just going to rotate their own lanes immediately. And they have Anti-Mage, a hero who's just better at moving around the map regardless. So I think that'll favor DK no matter what.
I would love to see a Dazzle here. That would just make the...
Oh, man. And they could totally fit it in. Clock can go mid. Anti-Mage safe lane. Kunkka, Shadow Demon, Dazzle. That would be so strong.
I would love to see that, but...
And it's what Orange did. It's what... I think it was Orange, right? The Shadow Demon Dazzle.
They had a Shadow Demon Dazzle, yes.
You win it was... Yeah, instead of the Kunkka, I believe. But similar philosophy here, where you have a very powerful killing tri-lane, and your Anti-Mage has Disruption and Shallow Grave. He's never going to die.
It was so good at shutting down Alchemist during the early game farm. Ooh, Lion. Wow.
Now that you mentioned Dazzle, I'm very attached to that pick. This is not bad by any means. It gives them some great lockdown, which they were a bit lacking on, I suppose. End of the day, they had Disruption and Torrent.
Right.
Cogs, Hook are sort of lockdown, but just not reliable in all cases. So They get some stuns, but I think the Dazzle might have been better because it would have really allowed them to be aggressive.
Yeah, it can heal you up from the massive amounts of dispersion damage that you're going to take as physical damage, so it's not going to be mitigated by null field from the Rubik. And then you have the Weave, which if you get minus like 15 armor and then you Kunga cleave somebody, that can just be a full team wipe if you get a lucky crit right there.
And LGD will round out their own draft with a silencer. Now, end of the day for DK, it is probably going to be a Die Lion, one of his legendary heroes. He used to take the solo mid all the time, but I don't think we're going to see a solo mid Lion this game. He's been playing exclusively support for probably over a year at this point, maybe even 2. So we'll see what he goes for.
ROTK Clockwork. Keep an eye out on the courier bottle.
Oh, man. Yeah, if it happens again, does he just quit? Does he just retire from professional Dota today? I don't think it's going to happen again, Merlini.
Well, I mean, I don't really want to put all that on game 1, but it was so costly.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair.
But Silencer, I like Silencer a lot, and I think they can just straight up just kill maybe 1, perhaps 2 heroes during Spectre's Haunt. If they use Haunt plus Global, I think they can just pick off some of the weak heroes, especially Lion and Shadow Demon. Those are the heroes that you want to get out of the fight as soon as possible.
Well, we'll introduce DK as soon as possible, too. They are currently tied up with LGD. They're locked in this best-of-5 elimination match, your semifinals #1 for the Dota 2 Super League. $165,000 in total prizes available to be claimed for all the teams that have made it thus far. ROTK on the Clockwork, looking for some sweet, sweet redemption here in game #3. Super on the Kunkka, Burning handling the Anti-Mage, Die on his signature Lion. He's decked out to the point where he's just creeping me out with the googly eye on his head. And last but not least, QQQ, really far behind the pack, the herd. He'll be playing the Shadow Demon.
And on the side of LGD China, I want to make sure that I don't miss any action here because everyone is gathered in the Radiant Jungle. So we have Xiao 8 on the Dragon Knight solo middle, Sylar on the Spectre, he played it last game as well, Yao on the Darkseer, DDC on the Rubik, and DD on the Silencer.
Yep, we'll just introduce the rest of them now with the camera. And, well, Merlini, I like DK. I liked DK's draft so much just through those first 4 picks. I do feel going for the Lion here might be something that LGD can punish, and it weakens their trialing considerably compared to some other options. I mean, we mentioned the Dazzle, even something like I think Twin-Headed Dragon was banned, but I think there was heroes like Keeper of the Light available. There's definitely strong tri-lane, offensive tri-lane heroes. I thought DK could definitely contest this game, but they're not going to. They're going to run the defensive tri-lane. They'll secure Burning's farm, but in doing so, they give Sylar something he did not have in game #2, which is free farm on his Spectre.
Yeah, he needs that easy. He had a, 33-minute Radiance plus Bracer, Vit Booster, and Phase Boost, and I really hope he gets some sort of farm this game.
It wasn't his fault, but it was pitiful farm.
And he had to buy back a couple of times, too. Oh, Yao. Ooh, wow, I thought he was about to go up to the creep.
Oh, no. He's going to get disrupted here. Burning has taken Blink. They need the perfect surround. They don't quite get it, but they're trying to block him off from all angles. He's low. Beautiful body blocking from Die, but not quite enough. He didn't want to tank those tower shots. They almost got the surround, just a split second too slow.
So Yao looks like he's going to head to the jungle after spotting out that triple lane. He almost died right there. That was very scary.
Whew, that was close. But mid lane, what do you make of this matchup? Kunkka versus Dragon Knight. Who's got the edge here?
I think that Kunkka has a little bit more of an edge just because he has Tidebringer and he's not going to get harassed by Xiao 8. Sure, he has a little bit of regen from the Dragon's Tail, but the armor isn't going to help him. He's just going to cleave the creep and it is going to do a lot of damage to Xiao 8. Constant Bottle Crow will be necessary by him.
Yeah, Super actually hitting the hero there, but in general, like you said, I imagine he'll be looking to hit the creeps. And the nice thing for Xiao 8 is
he
should be, well, no, there could be a disruption. QQQ struts in. He's actually got the angle for it, but there's no soul catcher.
Clock on bottom, Clockwork.
And Xiao 8 figures without it, won't be able to find the kill. Meanwhile, bottom lane, ROTK taking a lot of damage. Ion Shell burns him to bits, pops the cogs, gives up a first blood.
Classic ROTK.
Yeah. And that's not a very great tri-lane for, well, I call it a tri-lane. Yao did rotate here for this, but it's not a lane where where the Clockwork should really die.
He was trying to contest a creep pool, and they were golems. And like, what is he going to do? He's going to try and really right-click him versus this triple lane.
Right-click him,
That's scary.
No problem.
But early first blood.
Like you said, classic RTK, boomer bust. He's the host of this team, and in this case, he's the wrong kind.
Going back to the silencer pick, I think is actually really an extremely strong pick because they have a couple ways to initiate from DK, either a disruption setup, a hook shot cog setup, or an X torrent setup, and a silencer can easily interrupt any of those combos and completely turn the tide of a team fight.
Yeah, for the time being, the big advantage LGD has is that Yao can jungle, whereas RTK can't. So he's kind of trapped in this bottom lane, and it looks like he's been cogging the creeps in to pull the lane back a bit. He's getting experience, but of course, they could look to tower dive, and maybe not now, but in a little bit. For the time being, support Silencer, getting the levels up, already level 2 on DD. We'll see him work towards the level 6 global, and once they get global, they have global into Haunt. That is a very scary ganking lineup. You put an Ion Shell in that Spectre, you start with a Dragon Tail, maybe Xiaowei gets a Rune or has a Shadow Blade. Their reach is pretty insane, and they'll need that against Burning, because, by the way, the B-God is 20-5, and you compare that to the safe lane Spectre of Sylar, he is farming horribly. 9-1 just against the Clockwork.
I think it's because he has to last hit under the tower because they are doing constant creeples and he doesn't have a Quelling Blade, so that is hurting him a lot. Spectre's base damage is only 55 at this point.
I feel in this lane, their kill potential is so low that you should just go for the Quelling Blade.
I definitely agree with you there, and it's
over
costing
the
him a lot
boots,
of
because he started boots, and it delays your Quelling Blade a lot, but he will have it now. He's down 11 CS. It feels like a lot now. It won't be so bad later on. I guess the big thing is Burning's been, I think, basically perfect at this point. We're 4 minutes in. There's been, well, not perfect, but pretty close to that. It's going to be around 29 out of 32 CS through the first 8 waves, and that's a great start for him. Assuming he gets these creeps, which he may miss a few here.
So the reason why Lion isn't picked so much is because he is so level dependent. If you get behind with him, he just continues to feed. You might as well just pick a much easier support such as Leshrac or Lina, whose stun is full duration at level 1. So Lion is actually getting the levels that he needs. Very, very important.
Yeah, he's been pretty much perfect. To be level 4 as a support, you got to get every pull, every stack off, and also just auto-tech the creeps constantly. He hasn't been participating in any movements around the map. That's been QQQ's
That
job.
early finger is going to be ridiculously strong, though.
Yeah, it got a bit of a buff in the last patch. I believe the cooldown used to be 170, 110, 50, and it's now 160, 140.
Xiao 8 in
mid lane. Disruption into a Soul Catcher. They brought Xiao 8 low. Any hero besides Dragonite probably dies there, but he is so tanky, he lives through it all.
Yep, and having that DD in bottle certainly helps.
Now burning up to 33 CS. I have not often seen a game where Burning gets this amount of farm on ANTIMAGE, and it doesn't go poorly for the enemy team. But if you ever were going to give away this kind of farm, it would be in this situation, where you have a greedy, well, not a greedy offlaner, but just a very powerful and efficient offlaner like the Darkseer, who can get a lot out of the jungle, and then a really hard carry in the Spectre. And they'll go in mid again. Disruption, Soul Catcher, Kunkka Cleave. Actually, the Tidebringer was not even used there. Doesn't maximize the damage, but they weren't going to kill Xiao 8 anyway.
He's actually going a 3-2 build. I see a lot of Kungas go max Tidebringer, and then they go level 2 X marks the spot after you get level 2 of Torrent. But I guess if you have Disruption to set up, you don't really need the X marks the spot this early.
Sylar continues to struggle a bit. He's now down 13 CS to Burning. Burning, freely farming, rushing the Battle Fury, going for what we all know is the Burning build, taking early points in stats, and then, of course, getting the early Quelling Blade. So it'll be very efficient with this farm. Unless they put some pressure on him, we'll see some early movements from LGD's supports. Level 4 on the Rubik, 3 on the Silencer. You compare that to this Lion, Die. He's already 5.5. He is really pulling ahead of this Silencer and this Rubik.
Yeah, this is really, I mean, it's going to be ridiculous. Level 6 is so strong with them compared to a lot of other supports.
And I think the big reason why is Yao's been in the jungle. Like, sure, RTK gave up First Blood. Sure, he's not quite as high level as the Darkseer. But end of the day, Yao isn't pressuring Burning. So the supports of DK are free to roam. They're free to pull. DK, on the other hand, well, RTK's required the supports to pay attention bottom lane, and it's also because Spectre's not as good at zoning a hero out of the lane as ANTIMAGE is. For all these reasons, Burning's getting more out of the lane, and it's also having indirect effects on the supports. Lion, you mentioned early Finger of Death. We could see it by 7-8 minutes.
The rotation from DK has just been exceptional at this point. Shadow Demon rotated mid and then giving Xiao 8 a hard time. He's only at 24 CS, about almost half of Kunkka's CS at this point. And then notice their ward placement too. They swung by top, put 4 heroes there, dropped a ward so that, again, Burning can farm his really early Battle Fury, and they've just been moving around a lot. Although I wish that ROTK wouldn't have died early, but what can you do?
He's basically got 8 CS a minute at this point. That is essentially flawless farm for Burning. He's maybe missed 1 or 2 creeps, but it's as close as it gets. Incredible start for him. And now they'll go in mid. They want to kill off Super. The Haunt comes in. This is where Spectre brings you a lot more than the Anti-Mage. They'll find a kill. Torrent clips to a nice pick-off. But they brought 4, and 2 of them are going to have to go heal, or at least bottle up. Xiao8 gets a salve. They definitely get an important kill, but they're not killing Burning. He is still free farming. I think it's okay for DK.
The self-sufficiency of Dragon Knight is just absolutely insane. He's almost died a couple of times, but he's still able to just stay in the lane and constantly just stay there, pressure, farm creeps, whatever, and just not die. The strength of this hero and the tankiness is incredible. They really need a lot of magic to deal with it, whether it be Shadow Demon with his Soul Catcher or Lion rotating mid. He is almost level 6.
Oh, DD, you're such a prick. He denies the double damager, and at the last possible second, cheeky play from him, and it will prevent what could have been a potential gank from DK. I'm still watching Dai's level. As soon as he hits 6, I imagine we're going to see DK group up, go for a 2-3 hero smoke, and try and set up a kill. And even a hero like Spectre, normally known for being tanky, no points yet in Dispersion, Finger of Death will kill him if there's any follow-up whatsoever.
So level 4 Torrent already up on Kunkka.
Yeah, what do you make of this? Is it really worth neglecting 2 points in... Yeah, I mean, you're up against Darkseer, you're up against Spectre. These are mobile heroes. I feel like getting 2 points in X is really worth it.
I feel like Max Tidebringer is just really necessary. That cleave damage is absolutely insane. And
the
range,
cooldown goes down so much.
4-second cooldown is so strong. But we see a rotation from them. I don't want to miss a kill yet here on bottom.
Well, they're still smoked up in the jungle. Burning putting pressure on top. This is going to require reaction from LGD. It looks like what DK is hoping for is they show Burning pushing that top lane. Someone teleports and then they can dive this tower, but LGD not taking that bait. They've clustered up as a unit of 3 behind Sylar, who continues to find what farm he can. But I'm just looking at the net worth differential. Despite Sylar participating in the first blood, he's now down 1,500 gold to Burning. Look at the CS difference. 25 CS this early. Burning does pick up power treads, now has a broadsword.
Oh, ROTK on bottom.
And now they go in bottom. ROTK gets caught out and picked off. An important kill, but LGD did wait a very long time to secure that. And while that's happening, DK made some movements of their own. Dai is finally level 6. I would love to see him start participating in some fights.
Burning is just going to be absolutely massive.
He's going to be a monster. And the nice thing for DK is Burning doesn't normally play like Mushi, where he saves his gold for too long, he farms too long. He generally has a good sense of when to come to the fights.
Yeah, he is... Wow. I mean, I don't know why you just let... This is like his signature hero, and if he's so potent when given this amount of early space. Why?
That might be the Q at the end of this game. What a disruption by QQQ. It was a surge. He wanted to get off the stun, but Xiao8 will be absolutely outmastered and outplayed in this fight. Sylar reality's in. It's a teleport from Burning. He's coming to the fight. He wants to get active here. Sylar, there's an X. It's only level 1. As a result, Yao gets away. The rocket splashes through. 2 heroes actually fell there. The silencer got picked off in the end. They did force Burning to TP. That was just sick play by QQQ. He was such a man. He lets Xiao8 come all the way in his face. He disrupts him, and then calmly there's a Soul Catcher, a turret. I feel like 99 out of 100 support players just panic and run there and probably get stunned and die.
Yep, and a boat. I mean, Kunkka, it's nice having set it with him. We often just see Torrent just like whiff left, right, and center, but he's been able to hit most of his already. Spectre, I'm curious to see what he's going to go. He could go for an early diffuser, early drums. I'm surprised we haven't seen more drums on Spectre. They just... Oftentimes they just go for treads and to a bracer into whatever item it may be, whether it be casual Vit booster or radiance, but I feel like that drum is extremely powerful for the early mid game where Spectre is often its weakest.
Yeah, we've seen somewhat similar items like the Vitality Booster, but I guess the big thing is the drums helps your team fight a little bit better, whereas the Vitality Booster just makes you slightly more survivable. End of the day, if you turn the Vitality Booster into something bigger like a heart later on, it can make a difference, but it's so far off. I feel like you just use the drum charge once effectively in a fight, and it's totally worth it. But I'm with you, Merlini. He's not going to go for it, at least not yet. And I'm just watching the Burning clock. I feel like we should have a special overlay just for Burning, which just countdown to fun ending.
There's going to be some action soon. Triple or smoke on 3 heroes on bottom. Xiao8 picks up an invisibility in the bottle. They're wrapping around to the secret shop.
Meanwhile, just farming top lane. DK are pretty defensively located. ROTK lurking near his
Only
tier
one
1.
stack up on this Ancient. I'm pretty sure they're checking that just to try and mitigate some of Burning's farm.
He doesn't have a Battle Fury yet. It's maybe a little early to actually expect him to be doing it. I guess they thought Super could have done it with Tidebringer, but it's only level 2, so realistically he couldn't. And in the end, LGD wasting a lot of time here.
Yep, they're eyeing that tower on bottom, but no hero of DK is in sight.
I love how the Ion Shell goes on the tail of the Dragon Knight. Cute little adjustment there. We'll see bottom lane. DK are going to rotate in. It's very dangerous to push into these towers. There's the boat, there's the hook, the cogs. And we could see an engagement soon. Soren comes in. Xiaowei almost ran into it. He just narrowly goes out. Oh, that would have been bad if he fell there. Meanwhile, top lane, Burning starts to apply pressure. It's going to be a 13.5 to 14-minute Battle Fury treads, Quelling Blade, Poor-Man Shield. That's pretty good farm for him. And LGD China, by grouping up like this, they are somewhat hurting their late game as well. They're not farming. They're not getting the early mech. They continue to siege the tower. It looks like LGD is just going to get this one, not for free, but without contest. Burning blinks back, and now he's got his Battle Fury. 14 minutes in, he should have it delivered to him.
That was a fail boat. Didn't hit anybody there, but
Ice Frogs made people not afraid to fail anymore. I don't know if that's good or bad, Merlini, but it's got, what, a 1-minute cooldown? Why not throw it out?
I felt it was actually a very good choice by DK not to go there. They could have set up with an X Torrent, a Disrupt Torrent boat, a Hookshot Cog Torrent boat. Any of those would have worked, but I think the Global Silence would have just absolutely crushed them at that point, especially with Burning, farming on top, really wanting to get his Battle Fury.
And the Ancients are being stacked. There's your triple stack. They didn't actually drop a ward here, which I would have liked to see. I guess DK are probably liable to deward that anyway, but you force them to miss a stack here or there, can make a bit of a difference. Burning, agility treads on, maximum efficiency from him. He really is a robot when it comes to his anti-mage, and his team is a big part of that success. They've stacked up some other camps. The big camp isn't stacked, but whenever they have a chance, they do it. It's something we saw lacking in one of the earlier games. I believe when LGD was playing the Alchemist, DK, they definitely know how to run a mean 4 Protect 1, and they're doing it now. And LGD, they are actually behind only by 1,000 gold top lane. They go in on Xiaowei. The Torrent's going to connect. There's an X, a Haste Rune, and a boat. The X is there. In comes the Hex. The boat, too. He jukes north. He dodges the boat. Beautiful little play from Xiaowei. Now a haunt in from Sylar. They're trying to turn this one around, but I don't think they saw that Super has a Haste Rune in his bottle. He'll be able to scurry away. Coco Rum makes you fly. He'll get back to base with ease.
Nice Global Silence there by DD. Meanwhile, QQQ got picked off in the jungle. I don't exactly know what he was doing there. I think he was trying to lay a ward in this spot like he had up earlier, but very risky play by him, and he will pay for it with his life.
Meanwhile, they're sieging this tower top, and DK, no boat online, not for the time being. They'll be forced to give it up, but Burning, as you mentioned, takes the trade, takes the tier 1, and now goes to farm the enemy jungle. Normally just positioning himself on the exact opposite side of the map, wherever the enemy team is. That's what he generally does at this stage of the game, and we continue to follow his progress. He now leads the Spectre by 2.5k. He'll start building towards the next item.
He has double his CS.
Blade of Alacrity online. The clock is ticking.
Yeah, Burning is just absolutely going to destroy the Sylar in a one-on-one man fight just because the sheer amount of farm he has right now.
And here's the other problem, Merlini, is their lockdown is not amazing. They have Rubik Lift and Dragon Tail, but if he's got Manta Style, it can often be hard to tell which one is which, and even a precious second here or there. Suddenly he gets off a couple of auto attacks, he drops Mana Void, you lose one hero, the fight falls apart in a hurry. And the Global Silence that could be super effective at shutting down an anti-mage might not do too much because he's going to have a very fast Manta at this rate. LGD, they're grouped up in their own jungle.
They need ROTK here.
DK are lurking. Super's got a boat. They're heading towards Burning. Burning's got to know something's up. He blinks away. 150 CS. He is almost doubling up his own Kunkka. It's kind of insane. I'm surprised he's not farther ahead, to be totally honest.
I feel like ROTK should be there with his team. They were smoked as 3, but they know Burning isn't really going to contribute too much to the fight without his Manta Style. They really need Hookshot. I haven't seen a Cog, Torrent, Boat combo, and I think that he could be having a much larger impact in this game. ROTK, that is.
You mentioned the warding of DK earlier to help set up Burning's safe farm to get the Battle Fury with the ward between where the tier 1 and tier 2 towers would be top lane. They've kept it up here, just placing more standard rune wards around the Roshan pit, but just getting any sort of vision for Burning allows him to push more aggressively and safely. And now LGD, they want to force these 5-man clashes. They do have a mech. It's something DK are currently lacking, although they're building towards some other utility items. RTK feels like a bit of a liability. He's only level 7, has not max battery assault, has not max cogs. I don't know if he can do much. Burning, though, it all starts to count on him because of the fact that some of these heroes don't have farm. LGD continue to pressure that mid lane. They've always got Haunt. They still have Global. We just haven't seen a big fight from them yet.
Yep, they're just waiting for the right.
They're going to contest now a Surge into a Dragon Tail. That was well executed. Now the Global. Everybody driven back. Xiao 8 giving chase. The Dragon flapping wildly. RTK, well, he gets picked off again. He'll buy back immediately. They have, however, found Xiao 8, picked him off. The boat connects, clips the Darkseer. He's low. He's not out of it yet. He pops the mech, backs them all back, deploys the wall. Burning skirts around it. Now blinks into the cog. The hook was there by RTK. However, Burning is taking quite a bit of damage. He'll be forced to run. When it's all said and done, his own Lion barely escaping, died to the high ground, gets away. He's actually getting towards a 4-staff here. Burning joins the fight. He now leads by 3k gold, but I feel his team is dying a bit much here, and I don't... It's a game where he can definitely win this, but not if his team's far enough behind. It's kind of in the middle right now as to where it'll fall out.
It was so important that they killed the Dragon Knight right there. Very nice purge by the Shadow Demon right before he died there, and then follow that up with a torrent and
the finger. The finger
right.
is doing big work.
It's so important. I mean, they killed him and they forced a buyback on him. They didn't really get anything out of the buyback, so I think overall it was 2 for 2. But DK, I think, came on top.
Yeah, RTK bought back, but at this point it seems like he's just a walking hook shot, drops the cogs, and then dies. I guess that's going to be his role this game. Maybe he sets up a big boat. He's not going to do a whole lot for himself directly. It's kind of unfortunate for DK. I feel they could really benefit from a Clockwork with farm and levels, but it's past the point of no return. Where's RTK going to find it? He'll try where he can, but his role in this game will be much limited. And a lot of it does go back to those early deaths, those overextensions, the things that you mentioned where he could have just played it more defensively.
I think that Lion could use 1 point in mana drain. It really helps versus the Haunt, especially if Spectre is going to get a lot of farm. Looks like he already has phase drums, but if you have 1 point in mana drain, you can just mana drain the Haunt illusion as soon as it gets to you, and it'll just instantly kill it.
By the way, Sylar's is getting close to a relic. I'm not sure if Burning's far enough ahead to deal with this.
Super.
Bottom lane, he's popped the drums. He gets Dragon Tailed from around the trees. What the hell was that? Dodging away from the Impale of Xiao 8. Now Sylar haunts in. He dives super. Remember, there's a disruption. It's placed on the Spectre. Now the hook. Jams it in RTK. He's caught 2. Look for the boat. That's not a fail boat. That's a big boat. It catches 2. They're all on the run now. Burning TP's in. The wall is dropped. And they pick off the Dragon Knight. It looked like it could have been a whole lot worse for LGD. That was a great hook by RTK.
Great cog.
Incredible, and it does show you Clockwork can feed early game, but he still has hookshot, he still has cogs.
Great reaction by DK there. I thought that super wasn't going to get caught. I don't actually know how he caught up to him, whether it was a surge or slowed down by the Spectre. Oh, I thought that he was clear out of there, but nice reaction there. They were able to save him and just pick off 2 in the process. Again, killing DK is so important. Look at his farm right now. He had a decent early game, not really dying to any of the early games, but Trez Ogre Club, he's going to have a really delayed BKB. No Shadow Blade and Dragon Tail for Burning to worry about is just going to make him a force to reckon with.
Speaking of Burning, there's your Manta style. 21 minutes, Manta style, Battle Fury, Quelling Blade, Poor Man Shield, Treads. And now it's the time where he works towards the big items. The good news is, Spectre has not died. Sylar gets closer to a Radiance. I feel he could have easily had this relic by now, but he's just spent so much time joining the fights with his team. I guess it's slowed down some of DK's other heroes, but Burning is not joining the fights. And when he does, it's only when it's at his own towers, so he wastes very little time getting there. It's surprising, because Spectre, having Haunt, you feel like he doesn't have to actually spend that much time coming to the fights.
Oh, he's taking out the Ancient stack right now, too. That is a big stack.
Well, what is he going to get after this? What do you think is the item choice here? Butterfly, Heart, Vlad, BKB?
I think Heart's probably the best choice. I mean, they don't really have the damage to kill him. Spectre is really good at whittling away, but he doesn't really have any bursts. He's great at killing supports, but a tanky hero like ANTIMAGE, there's no way he's going to die within, let's say, like a Global Silence or a Dragon Tail if he has it hard to Rask.
It's not a bad BKB game, but I guess the one issue with that is it forces DK to fight now, and I'm not sure how aggressive they can really be because the rest of their heroes just don't do much. Bernie is sieging the bottom tower. He's got a Manta style. I imagine he'll pop it now and then use the illusions to try and last hit this. He's sending them on to Xiao 8. He sent 1 on each hero. He sicked his dogs on these, and the last hit goes to Burning despite 2 heroes in the lane. Really nice illusion micro by him. It's just the little things that impress you with this player hero combination.
It's just so smooth with how he farms. He knows exactly where he's going to go next. He's so efficient about his farming and just great Manta usage. Uses it and gets a last hit on the tower. It's huge.
2,200 gold now for Burning.
And his gold just keeps coming in for it.
and now Sylar does have his relic. I mean, it's going to be an... Last game we saw a 33-minute Radiance. We're looking at a 25-minute Radiance at this rate, which is not bad. I mean, he went phase drums. He's joined a lot of fights, but he is down 137 CS. That's a lot to catch up, even with the Radiance. And even with the Radiance, ANTIMAGE still flash farms a lot quicker than a Spectre.
Yep, Xiao 8 does have his Black King Barb recipe, and they're putting pressure on this ROTK in position in case his team does want to fight. They want to kill Spectre, though.
X-Torrent, they've got a Purge. Are they going to drop a Disruption? The boat's going to connect. No Finger of Death. Dai had this kill. He throws it in. He just clips him. Now they all get back, but there's no Spectre. Is there a buyback available? There's not. Even if he did it, delay his Radiance, and now Bernie joins the fight. He kills off DD. His own illusions may be used against him here. He gets disrupted. The illusion wars are back, baby. I'm having flashbacks. He'll blink out, he'll retreat. A nicely executed gank by DK, and that's the Spectre Radiance, probably delayed by 1 to 2 minutes at least.
That was a great gank by DK, but at the same time, I feel that Silencer could have cast his global just
RTK,
half a second earlier.
Bottom lane, he's lifted up, he's thrown back in, but there's no mana on Xiao 8. It's the early farm deficit. It's Burning with the Illusion Micro in that previous engagement. Now as a Reaver, this Dragon Knight has just not had the impact. We have not felt his presence. And Merlini, you were singing the praises of Dragon Knight, and rightfully so the past few days, but it does seem the Kunkka is a really powerful way to shut him down in the lane, especially with Shadow Demon support.
Yeah, and with the AoE damage from Kunkka, you don't even have to aim for the DK. You can just hit him along with the side, and I mean, he just does so much splash damage, again, with these, like, sort of weakish supports from LGD or, like, the Wall of Illusions. They're all just going to crumble if he gets decent amount of farm, which he has, and he already has his BKB. But again, going back to the last fight, I think the Global Silence was maybe just half a second too late. He had already gotten the X and a Torrent off before the Global came out, and Spectre really, really desperately needs his Radiance.
I'm just watching the creep score go up for Burning. I feel like he's playing
285.
I feel like he's playing pinball right now. He's eclipsed 10 CS a minute. He's 6 net worth at 24 minutes in. He's 2-0-1. He hasn't died. I don't know if he will this game though, at the rate he's going.
They're even passing him the bottle.
It's for Protect 1. It's for throw away their own lives to get Burning fat, and then Burning, it's an investment, and they hope that he pays it back. And he's close to a heart. And once he has this heart, do DK just start 5-manning? Do they start taking fights, or do they just keep on farming? What's your game plan for DK? They're ahead. We've raved and ranted about how big Burning is, but what's the next step for them?
I think you can just take out Roshan and take out all the T2s and then wait till you get a Butterfly and make a push with a second Aegis. Again, they're not really under any pressure right now. As long as Spectre doesn't get like a Butterfly heart, I don't think they're in any sort of danger. But at the pace that ANTIMAGE is farming, it's...
Sylar almost ran right into him, and this ANTIMAGE can kill him. Oh, he'll head top. He sees the delicious creep wave. He's just struggling to find places to farm. He's going to have a Radiance now. I guess LGD, I would never count them out of it. When you have Global, you have Darkseer Vacuum Wall, and you have Spectre, I feel like they still have a great shot late, but they are now trailing by 6k gold, 8k experience, and one bad fight against an anti-mage this farm, he can just wipe your team and take your entire base.
They have so many things to help him out, though. They have Shadow Demon Disrupt in case he gets stunned. They have Lion with the AoE stun. They have a Force Staff on Lion. Oh, Sylar, it looks like he's in trouble if he gets X right here.
Oh, they're trying to chase him, but Burning's too busy taking a tier 2 top. He sicked his illusions on Xiao 8. There's no Dragon Tail. He takes the tower, he blinks to the left, and he will escape. And LGD beat a hasty retreat as a unit of 5 back to their base, or at least back to their tier 2 mid. And this is Q for DK. LGD just TP'd Hero's top, straight into Roche, and it's going to be very hard to even get here in time. They don't have Xiao 8. He doesn't have mana. If he comes, he won't be able to help.
Wow, he has a heart and 1,000 gold. But again, they have Shadow Demon Disrupt, they have Ghost Ship, they have Cogs, they have a Force Staff. How is Burning going to die?
What is his GPM? It's actually a great time to check. 700, 690. Almost double the Spectre's GPM. The net worth is absolutely filthy. He's going to kill off yet another stack of Ancients. You have to give his team so much credit for all the space they've given him. Even the ganks where maybe a hero died here or there. ROTK buying time with his hooks. Burning his teammates stacking camps for him. They are definitely making him look good.
They're trying to get some bit of lockdown, though. I see Yao trying to get a Scythe of Vice. I mean, they could potentially kill him with a very nice chain stun with Dragon Tail, with, let's see, Telekinesis. Maybe he steals another stun or disable on the Rubik, and a Scythe of Vice, maybe a Vacuum for the half-second disable there. And Global Silence, they have a lot of kind of things, but where's the damage coming from?
The damage will be there in 15 to 20 minutes.
But he's going to have his Butterfly by then. I mean,
he'll have Butterfly.
Like 5 minutes.
Screw the Butterfly. He'll have buyback, Boots of Travel, Butterfly, and maybe... Does he have room for an Abyssal with that? Yeah, he does.
337 last hits in 27 minutes.
I don't know what the best performance ever is, but this is up there. It's been a long time since I've seen Burning just be uncontested as his anti-mage. Normally the other Chinese teams just flat out ban it, and they force them to win, DK to win without it. We'll see if LGD get punished for this one. They're going to march on to the Tier 2. They want to start taking some aggressive fights. Remember, they've got Haunt, Sylar, Radiance online. Can they make something happen here? The Torrent was flung out, but no commitment yet. Super clearing out the wave. The tower dropping quickly. Now the BKB from Xiaowei. There's your Haunt. Global as well. They've picked off the Shadow Demon. Burning's teleported in. Can they fight their way through Big Bad Burning? He jumps in. Boat is going to connect, but unfortunately Xiaowei was still BKB'd. Problem for me is Burning's HP bar is just not dropping. He Mana Voids Yao. One to the next, and DD could be the third to fall. He'll get blown up. Burning's still at half HP. Sylar in trouble. That's a squishy little Spectre. Mince meat for the anti-mage. Magic sucks indeed. And now 4 heroes dead, and they go right into the Roche pit.
He is not scared at all. He just used his Manta during the global, just blinked right in, didn't even care. I think he got Telekinesis, he got Dragon Tail, doesn't even matter. Incredible. Incredible.
And now he's got both. He's gonna be basically, well, not 6 slotted, but Aegis and then quad slotted at 30 minutes.
LGD's hopes has to be failing right now, just looking at this anti-mage and how stacked he is. Difference in gold earned 7,500 in favor of DK, likely to extend to around 80 or 9,000 right after this Roshan falls, though.
It just amazes me after, like, I'm gonna type the Roche timer in all chat, but after like 3 years of DK being either on top of the scene or one of the best teams in the business in China, that Burning's anti-mage ever gets through. Because there was a lot of periods where they just...
Scythe of Ice.
Yeah, they do get the Scythe.
That's not enough,
You mentioned, though.
No deeps.
Where's the damage? No
DK
deeps.
just has BKB treads.
Where's your YOLO swag deeps when you need them?
Rapier. It's time.
Yeah, clearly a great item for a Spectre.
Oh boy. Oh boy. There's this Butterfly.
It's all, the inventory just has a nice color to it as well. A little green, a little blue, a little red, a lot of dead LGD.
This is LGD's worst nightmare right now. 30 minutes, again, anti-mage, treads, Manta, Battle Fury, Heart, Butterfly, Aegis. 30 minutes in. 5-0 and 2. Burning has just been doing an incredible job of farming. He is nigh unstoppable at this point.
14k experience lead and 10k gold lead. LGD, they do have a great late game lineup. It's just a long way to get to late game. Burning's already hit late game, and I feel like for Spectre it's still 20 minutes off.
He's almost 6 slotted, so I don't know if he's going to pull a Mushi and farm for 10k, but probably not. Burning has, I mean, it's pretty much flawless play at this point.
I mean, that's the big difference between Mushi and Burning, at least right now. Mushi actually made a public tweet on Tencent Weibo, which is the Chinese Twitter, basically, and said that he knows some people have criticized his carry play. He is working on it. He even agrees with some of the criticism. But, I mean, the big difference is Mushi will overfarm. Burning and his team, once they feel they have enough of an advantage, will try and force the fight. They're going to group up bottom. They're going to look to take a tier 3 here, and they march forward. Burning, 5-slotted or 4-slotted with an Aegis in tow. Blink was stolen. They'll disrupt him, and the siege begins. We're not going to see, I don't think, that aggressive dive to the tier 4. Maybe if they find the right opening. Sylar's teleported into the tower. A bold TP, if I don't say so myself. The Torrent's there. He jumps back. Burning, held in position for the time being. He is taking a bit of damage, down to about half HP. So he'll blink away. They'll wait for a new disruption. He'll heal back up, and they'll go again. The tower lost a good 700 HP off of that initial push. This is a slow, steady siege. This is the safe and easy way to do it.
Yep, and they aren't waiting any longer. Even though they have 4 minutes left on Aegis, he could potentially get another item. They just don't need to.
Xiao H jumped in from the backside. He's caught RTK. 2 heroes get backed into the wall. Burning, cleaning up his own illusions in this fight. Now realizes he can kill enemy heroes too. He's going to pop his Manta soon. He hasn't just yet. The BKB for Xiao H about to wear off. RTK throws in a hook, but it whiffs. Now Burning jumps. Actually, where the hell did he go? He jumped north, drops him on a void. Now he might lose the Aegis. Remember, though, he comes back with a Manta style and a butterfly. And I thought that could have been a defensive disruption, but Dai chooses...
Wow, those Spectre illusions. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they choose not to defensively disrupt Burning. Instead, well, they let him come back, and now they're looking to take the racks. LGD, they've used Global. They bought back on the DK. They've used both Globals, I should say, Haunt as well as Global Silence. It's going to be very hard to stop this push. Burning, he's taking 1 lane of racks. Him and his squad moving as a 5-man unit will probably back off after this. Maybe they'll even fight. He's big. Is he big enough? He's thinking about it. There's your X, your Torrent as well. Double 4 steps to freedom for DD. He's living for the time being. Now a jump south. He finds Sylar near the fountain. DK saying, get out of our game, LGD. You're finished. And LGD agrees. They are finished. They're going to drop game 3. And DK, despite starting 0-1 in the series, it's now turned to 2-1 in their favor.
Burning at work there. Ban AM, please.
400, he stopped 1 CS short. Unacceptable. But let's call it 400 CS with 33 minutes in. He finishes the game 6-0-3, 25,000 net worth. And as much as we're singing his praises, again, his team makes it all possible. They stack the camps for him. They create pressure in the other lanes. Great hook from RTK bottom lane with the boat follow-up to force LGD to take a bad fight. And the aggressive wards to keep Burning safe far on the battlefield. All these little touches are what make this possible.
Yeah, I feel like the SD Kunkka did a lot of work, and I think it was just a great idea for SD to leave the creep pulling to the Lion and just put a lot of pressure out on the DK in middle. DK, I mean, Dragon Tail is very strong, but he didn't have any sort of damage, and you can just leave him alone during BKB if he hits like a wet noodle.
He's a big wet noodle, but he's a limp one, and he will not be enough. LGD, they're going to drop this game. After watching 3 games, do you feel DK is clearly stronger than LGD, or do you just think they gave away Burning Anti-Mage and they weren't prepared
Well,
for it?
I don't think it's only that they gave away Anti-Mage. I think they rely on Spectre too much. Whether or not they overrate, I think they just overrate the hero. I mean, it just doesn't really, it didn't really flow well.
You know, I also didn't like how they didn't ban Shadow Demon in that second stage of the draft. I thought that was a pretty big mistake. I mean, not only because LGD or DK had Anti-Mage, but because it's an Anti-Mage lineup, but then it's also a Kunkka lineup. And Shadow Demon just is such a great setup hero.
He's great setup for so many different things, though.
It's a very strong support in the Chinese scene. I think they banned Magnus instead, or maybe that was DK. But there was some kind of unusual
Slark,
bans.
maybe?
Yeah. Was it the Super Slark? Maybe it was.
But I think that DK could have drafted as Clockwork. I mean, he did some stuff, but Shadow Demon is really key with Anti-Mage.
Yeah.
If you can prevent a death and just make 5 AM, it's absolutely ridiculous. So I think they could have done one of the other Eastern teams drafted Shadow Demon and Anti-Mage first. I believe for, was it Mushi? I don't exactly remember who it was, but that's just such a strong lineup. And again, Shadow Demon not being banned out was a pretty big mistake.
Merlini, are you saying that all Asians look the same? You can't even tell them apart? You're
Hey,
you're
hey
a
now.
racist. This guy's a racist. Jesus.
So,
I'd call the police.
How? I mean, I'm trying to think about how they can improve for next thing. First thing, they need to ban Anti-Mage or ban Shadow Demon. I think both of those two combined, especially with Burning on Anti-Mage, is just way too much to deal with, even for a team like LGD. Also, Spectre is just... It doesn't really do too much before 25 minutes. They got like maybe a couple kills with Haunt, but they had to use so many cooldowns. They had to use Haunt and Global and like BKB to just secure like maybe 1 kill on a support. They have so many things to try and interrupt it. So again, I don't really feel like it fits too well into LGD's lineup if DK drafts greedier than them, which means Anti-Mage and Kunkka.
Yeah. I don't know if LGD win a far more with DK. I think where they can come out on top is taking some early to mid-game team fights. You look at RTK, gets picked off a lot, push some early towers, but have a lineup that can take advantage of that. Maybe it's where a hero like Sylar's Lone Druid comes into play. He is one of the best Lone Druid players in China. We'll see what they do. Game 3 in the books now. DK, they punched their ticket to a 2-1 lead, and they're getting closer and closer to moving on to the grand finals of the Dota 2 Super League. I'm LD, he's Merlini, and we'll be right back after these messages with game number 4. Stay tuned.